Hi, and welcome to Rhode Island College Today. I'm your host, Nicholas Ullman. Our guest here today is someone that I've known ever since I was born. She's seen a lot through the years and is here to talk about some things she's seen. I'd like to proudly introduce my Nana, Darlene Bavaro. Hi, Nana. How are you?
I'm good, honey. Thank you.
Nana's been through a lot, and that stems from the family she was raised in. Born on a military base and then moved at a very young age, she had a lot to handle very early on. So I'd like you to briefly tell us about that.
Okay, I was born in Fort Wayne, Indiana, on an Army base. My dad was fighting in the Philippines. They lived in Ohio, but being in the service, she was traveling, different places. And when she had me, I was on the base. After I was born, we moved back to Ohio. My brother was a year older than me, a year and 3 days apart we are. And when I was 10 months old, my mom had an affair and got pregnant. And my dad came home and got custody of both of us, and she moved to Rhode Island with the new guy and the baby. When I was 5 and my brother was 6, my dad met someone and got married and sent us to my mother in Rhode Island. I guess she didn't want a ready-made family. So we went to Rhode Island with them, and my dad took us there. I remember that day like it was yesterday. It was like going to a foster home. We didn't know them.
Mm-hmm.
So he left us there, and within the first month and a half, I realized that it was going to be a nightmare life because he was a vicious man. He beat my mother, he beat us. Within a month and a half, my mother had a complete nervous breakdown, and we ended up leaving that house, which was a rental house, and there were mice everywhere. That was another nightmare. We had plungers. We used to catch the mice with the plungers. So we moved to my stepfather's mother's house, which was a 2-tenement. Now, my brother's 7, I'm 6, and my brother's 5. And it was a 7-lot farm. We had pigs, chickens, goats, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So we had to learn real fast to work the farm. In the meantime, my brothers are getting into all kinds of mischief, as we're growing. 7 years later, my youngest brother was born. So 7, and then we're getting into our, teens. It was a lot of work, the farm. We used to have to sell the products at the street corner. We used to gather them in the street, and I used to do all the preserving and different things like that. But as the years went on, my brothers never had a male to follow, figure to follow in their life. Mm-hmm. My mother had nervous breakdown after nervous breakdown, or she was always in the hospital, so she wasn't around too much. In this time frame, my brothers are learning from him. So they're getting mean and violent, and they're getting into trouble in the neighborhood and getting in fights and stealing the kids' bikes down the street and bunking school. And, we had to walk 1.5 miles to 2 miles to get to school. So that whole time, my stepfather's mother, who was a saint, I don't know where he came from, but she was a saint. He had 2 brothers that were wonderful gentlemen, 3 sisters that were wonderful. So he was the only one. Mm-hmm. I had her as a mother figure, and she was a Christian woman, so I learned from her. And she kind of sheltered me a little bit. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that was when they were younger, and now we're going to go to when my stepfather's father gave them a lot to build on at the corner. So we built a 10-room cape. Now my brother's 14, I'm 13, my other brother's 12, and the other one was 5, and we had a newborn baby girl. So now I don't know if you want me to continue there, or that's the next step.
I think that was a good first part. It sure sounded hectic having them around all the time and getting into all that mischief. But we're going to find out more about them right after this short commercial break. Stay tuned.
Are you tired of your favorite shows getting canceled or removed from streaming services? Are VPNs and pirating too complex for you? Hi, Jordan DeRosa here for Physical Media, the easiest way to save your favorite programs from becoming extinct. Streaming is cool and all, but corporations removing shows, regardless of their popularity, is not. That's where Physical Media comes in. Instead of paying a monthly or yearly subscription to watch one show, you can pay for it once and own it forever. Or until you pass. Whichever comes first. The secret is telling these out-of-touch executives to release these shows, because in this day and age, you never know when they'll get removed. And if you ask me, that's really f***ing stupid, and those people shouldn't be in charge of entertainment. Like, ever. So what are you waiting for? That hardware recession isn't gonna start itself. Support your favorite shows with this slowly dying medium right now. Or don't. I don't know your motives.
To order Physical Media, don't call the URL on your screen. The products shown in this commercial are not for sale, and any use out of them other than the batteries not included.
Are you still scared of the dark? Well, fear no more. Is that too bright? Well, here you can just gently rub the side of the lamp. This allows you to adjust how bright or dim you want the lamp to be. Or maybe you're just trying to set the mood. It's as simple as just touching the button right here in the front. For that matter, whatever mood you're in, this lamp will satisfy. The GoSun lamp is easy to use and has a variety of colors to choose from. Order your GoSun lamp today for just $19.99.
All right, welcome back to Rhode Island College Today. I'm Nicholas Ullman, and we're talking to my Nana, Darlene Movaro. So before the break, we were talking about how your brother started getting into more serious mischief / trouble. Could you mention that they were starting to get involved with like the wrong people?
Yeah, that's when it started, when we moved to the new house. I just want to mention that the youngest brother was 7 years younger than the other two. Mm-hmm. So he was 5, but he was really 10. Because he's learning from the older brothers. So he grew up really fast and tough.
Yeah.
So now they're in their teens, and they're starting to lift weights, bodybuild, tattoos. We all had to quit school at 16 years old and go to work. So the stepfather worked with a construction company, and Sonny was first. He was 16. He quit school and went to construction. And then when Roger turned 16, which was a year later, he went on. Jimmy was a little bit later, but they all ended up going there. I had to quit work, and I went to work on a foot press in a jewelry shop. Being that my mother was always sick, I was the one raising my sister. When I went to work, my nonna helped raise her, because my mother was never hardly home. At this point, she had, I think it was like her 4th breakdown, shock treatments and so forth, and plus other illnesses that she had. So I was Cinderella. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't date. I couldn't do anything. So now the years are coming. My brother joined the Army Reserve, my oldest brother. Roger, the middle one, hope I mentioned his name. The middle one, he just did his thing, getting into trouble with his friends and so forth. So it's starting to build. In the meantime, we're still getting very abused at home. Dinner time was 6 o'clock, and after they came home from work, and the table always got tipped over, and the bread knife came out. And,
Chaos.
you know, it was like, really bad. So by the time Sonny did his Army Reserve in 2 years, and then he got out, and when Jimmy the youngest one turned 18, he joined at the service and went to Vietnam, 2 tours of duty in Vietnam. Now Sonny's working, and they're going to bars after. Jimmy's in the service. In the meantime, I'm turning 21, and I was in a supermarket one day, and this head cashier came up to me and said, "Would you like to go out?" He was from Providence College. He had a big white Cadillac with the fins. And me being Cinderella at home, I felt, oh my God, this is something. So we ended up going out 18 months, and we got married. So now I'm in the next town But my mother was never around, so I'm back and forth, trying to keep these guys under control and helping when I can. But my brother came home from Vietnam on heroin. So, and the other middle brother was already doing drugs. My oldest brother was just drinking and, you know, and they're getting girls pregnant. The middle one had 5 women pregnant, 5 kids with 5 different women.
Jeez.
Marriages that didn't work. So that all total there was like maybe 8, 10 children that they didn't take care of. And now that's where I go into that next step.
Yeah, that must have been really hard for you to see as their sister. What were you able to do to help cope with what they were doing? And could you even try and do anything to help try and get them on the right path?
They were too strong and strong-willed for me to control them at all. I was there to listen if they had, you know, if they wanted to talk, but I really couldn't do much. I just had to sit back and watch and take care of my younger sister. That's the only thing I can do.
That is really unfortunate to hear. But let's find out more about this story after this short commercial break. Stay tuned.
One of the best things about summer is Newport Girls baseball. The best college players from all over the country come to play at Cardines Field, which is one of the oldest baseball fields in the country. The Newport Girls were voted the best family fun by Rhode Island South County Magazine in 2021. 30 former Gulls players have gone pro. The Newport Gulls are 6-time league champions. Games run every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights in June and July with activities like a donut eating contest and a base race with Gully, the Newport Gulls mascot. You must see what the excitement is all about. Opening day is Wednesday, June 7th against the Bristol Blues. See you there.
Tired of not landing any of your skateboard tricks? Really want to become a pro skater, but just don't want to put in all the time and effort? Well, we have the product for you. Introducing Elemental's Beginner Board. This beginner board is designed to make learning to skate so much easier. From our new and improved Super Speed wheels to our Super Strength grip tape, this is the perfect board for you. And it's made learning to skate so much easier. From ollies to kickflips and every trick in between, Elemental's new beginner board will have you going pro in no time.
All right, welcome back to Rhode Island College Today. I'm Nicholas Ullman. We're still talking with my Nana, Darlene Bavaro. Before the break, we were talking about how your brothers had begun to get into precarious situations. You said that you weren't able to help your brothers from getting into that trouble and messing around, all that kind of stuff. What happened because they kept going down the troublesome path?
Well, I'm going to give you an example. There was one street, Hartford Avenue in Johnston. It goes from Killingly Street to Atwood Avenue. And I'm just going to give a little synopsis of some of the things that happened on that street with my brothers. Now, this was in their late 20s, 30s, and 40s years old. That's how long this stuff was going on. There was a little bar called the One More Club, and they always hung out there. Now they're into drugs and so forth. So my youngest brother, the one that was the heroin addict, he was in the car in the parking lot with his friend. And I guess it was a drug deal going bad, and someone came up to the driver's side window and blew his brains out. My brother was sitting next to him. And when he came home and told us the story, and it was on the news and so forth, it was like it didn't faze him. It was just like an everyday thing that happened because they were so programmed to this violence that they were dealing with.
Him.
Yeah. So that was the One More Club. You go up the street a little bit, their friend fell off at the bike and killed himself right on Hartford Avenue. Jeez. Across the street was a market at the time, and they hated the Silver Lake people. So they used to have these brutal fights with ball bats, chains, and brass knuckles, and they used to leave that parking lot like a bloody mess. I witnessed a couple of them. You go up the street a little further on Hartford Avenue, there's a wall. And my middle brother was sitting on the wall with his friend who got into some real serious problems with some real serious people. And they blew his brains out right there on the street. He died in Roger's arms. A little ways up the street, a little humor. When we were kids, there was no seatbelts in the cars. So my 3 brothers are in the back seat, I'm in the front seat, and my mother was driving at the time. And they started fighting in the back seat. So she's driving, and she's like punching them, like trying to make them stop. And they're all screaming and yelling, Sonny, Sonny, Sonny. So she gets like 4 blocks down the street, and she finds out that my brother fell out of the car on Hartford Avenue. So we go back, and he's a big bloody mess sitting on the street. A little bit further up on Hartford Avenue, my brother at the time was living upstairs over a 2-tenement, and next door was a bar. He got into something with the fella there, and the guy pulled a gun on him, and Roger went upstairs, up next door, up to his apartment, and went out the window with a shotgun, and he said, you take another step and I'm gonna blow your brains out. The guy kept coming and he shot him. He lost his ear and half of his arm and this and that. And the people that were with the other fellow took his gun, so it didn't look like self-defense until he was in jail for a while, and they proved that it was self-defense, and he got some time. But and at that same time, they picked this girl up hitchhiking, the 3 brothers and 2 other fellas, and they had their way with her. Sorry, guys. And she wanted a ride home, and they wouldn't give her a ride home, so she went and called rape, and I had all 3 brothers in jail at the same time. Now, this is just one street in a matter of, a couple of years that all of this happened, and that's not even half of the stuff that happened.
Wow.
So it was like it went on to many, many years of all of this trauma, and it didn't end well for any of them. Do you want me to?
Yeah, that's
Do you want
some
me to?
truly horrific events to occur, and it's hard not to laugh because of the way you're handling it, which is admirable in itself. But we're going to cut to another short commercial break here, and then we can wrap up this story. So stay tuned.
Here at AJ's Army, we are a team dedicated to help local North Providence teenager and Bishop Feehan High School hockey player AJ Quetta recover from a spinal cord injury he received in January of 2021. AJ's fight continues every day as he works out at Journey Forward, but this is all paid out of pocket. With your continued support and donations, AJ can continue his rehabilitation and fight to fully recover. For more information on upcoming charity events, updates on AJ, or to donate, please visit www.ajsarmy.com.
The fastest way to add fiery to your flavor. Put on anything that you love to add the best taste to your mouth. Eggs, fish, rice with your chicken or meat. Don't be shy to put it on your cereal too. Yes, you did hear cereal. The best hot sauce in town to put on anything. Come in at your local grocery store to get your fiery flavor today.
Welcome back to Rhode Island College Today. I'm Nicholas Ullman, and we're continuing our conversation with my Nana, Darlene Bavaro. Just before the commercial, you had just talked about your traumatic experiences with your brothers on Hartford Avenue, as well as dealing with everything like that. So my question to you is, as we were joking about it a little bit, but how are you able to stay on the path that you were on and dealing with that so well?
Because I found the Lord. I had the Lord with me the whole time. My nonna used to take me to church. I was the only one that went to church. And I found the Lord at 7 years old. And when we used to carry the Virgin Mother on the statue on the platform, we used to walk barefoot on the stone streets in the processions to follow the Virgin Mary. I found the Lord, and when I used to walk home from work, I never took the bus home from Oneyville to home. I used to walk because I wanted to save the quarter. I used to stop at St. Thomas Church, and I used to sit there and say, Lord, can you just get me through this another day?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
That's okay. You did. You got through it.
And I did, and the last part of this is and it didn't end well for any of my brothers. Roger overdosed at 58, the middle one. My mother saw her son die, her illegitimate son. And for a moment of passion, she ruined so many lives. And she saw that, and she died the following year. She died on June 6th, 06, which is the sign of the devil. Sonny, my oldest brother, he passed away with lung cancer. He smoked since he was 12. He retired at 62, and he died 6 weeks later. And the youngest one, the heroin addict, I saw him on a Saturday. He came over, and I was having trouble buying a car. And he came over and he said, here's $1,500. I want you to buy yourself something, and then we'll talk about whatever else. So he came over on the Saturday, and he said to me, what did you get? And I said, I got a Ford Focus. And he said, you're not getting that car. And I said, why? And he said, that's all I can afford. Ford?
Yeah, good one.
So he did laugh. He said, no, you know what Ford means? It means fix or repair daily. So you're not getting that car.
Yeah.
And he said, and if you do get it, he said, I'm going to take it out of the driveway, and I'm going to take the wheels off and bust the windows and set it on fire. And then you get the insurance, and you'll get the car I want you to get. So we fought, and I was upset with him when he left. He took off on his all-chrome motorcycle that he had just bought. They all had Harleys,
Yep.
by the way. I don't know if I ever mentioned that, but they all had Harleys, and they were all big. And that was a Saturday, and Monday he died. He died of a fentanyl and heroin overdose. So they all had bad endings. But what was the question that you had asked me?
How were you able to keep going, pretty much?
It was the Lord. It got me through everything, and the last part of this whole thing is forgiveness. If you don't forgive, you can't handle your life afterwards. You just carry it with you, and it just eats away at you, so you have to forgive. So before my mother died, she said, I'm sorry I wasn't a better mother, and it was my chance to say you were a terrible mother. But I said to her, there's no book on how to be a parent. You did the best you could with what you had to deal with. We forgive you and we love you, and don't take that with you. And she passed. And my stepfather, he had diabetes, and they cut his foot off, and then they were going to cut his leg off, and he said, no, I'm done. So I went to him and I asked him if he had confessed his sins and the brutal way that he lived his life and the way he treated his family. And he said no. So I went and got the priest, and I took him in, and I left the room while they talked. He gave him absolution, and I went in. I said the rosary with him, and I said, did you confess? And he said, yes. And I said, I forgive you. And he kissed the cross and died.
That's really powerful stuff. I don't know if anyone could do what you did. So I'd like to say that I'm really proud of you for how you handled yourself. And I hope that I can be as good as a person as you are. So.
Well, Nicholas, before we can, wrap this up, I just want to say the Lord sent you to me in my last third of my life. And you've been a joy to me. You're humble, you're kind, you're religious, you're a Catholic boy. We still go to church together on Saturday.
Sometimes.
He's been to church with me since he was 2 years old. As a matter of fact, when he was like 2, his only words were Mama, Dada, Nana, Jesus, and church. And so I'm so proud of you, and this is my reward at the end. Our life goes in sections. That first part of my life was, I'm married 58 years in August. I have a son that's head of nuclear medicine at Miriam Hospital for 32 years. I have a daughter, he takes care of the Lord's people, and my daughter is an animal groomer. She takes care of the Lord's animals. So I had a wonderful life with my husband and my children. And my last third of my life, God blessed me with you.
Well, I'm honored that I could live up to your expectations and stuff. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have today, but I want to thank you for being willing to share this heartfelt story with us. And it was a pleasure having this conversation
No, you're
with
welcome, Nicholas.
I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and I'll see you next time on Rhode Island College Today. Take it easy.
Abide with me, fast falls the eventide. The darkness deepens, Lord, with me abide. When other help
As we enter the cold season, it's more important than ever to protect ourselves from germs and viruses, especially with the ongoing threat of COVID-19. That's why we got the solution you need. Purell Advanced Hand Sanitizer. Our hand sanitizer is made with 7% alcohol and effectively kills 99.9% of germs and viruses, including COVID-19. Its compact size makes it easy to carry with you wherever you go, ensuring that you're always protected. So say goodbye to germs and hello to peace of mind with our hand sanitizer. Protect yourself, protect others, stay healthy this cold season. Stay safe with Purell.